An adjunct professor at Montclair State University, Dan Geltrude. Good morning, Dan. So nice to see you. Okay, let's get back to Google. So the Chrome browser setting is meant to protect a user's right to privacy, but the 2020 lawsuit claims internal emails between Google executives showed the company actually traced user data information even while they were in incognito to measure web traffic and sale ads. Dan, do you think internet users will ever be safe from spying?
No. How about that for an answer? So everyone should assume when they are online that nothing is a secret. There's no such thing as incognito. So it was really disingenuous to start with that Google was even putting that out there. And of course, emails were discovered to show that that wasn't the case. So look, if you're online, assume that everybody can see what you're looking at. And keep in mind, companies like Google, their power, their strength is the collection of data. They need it. So just assume they're watching.
They're always watching. They are always listening. We all know that. Okay, how about this one? This one's slightly disturbing. Aircraft manufacturer Boeing is warning airlines to inspect its 737 MAX airplanes for loose parts. So the airline company made the call after finding two planes without their bolts being securely fastened. That's according to the FAA. Dan, airlines that use the 737 included United, American, Southwest. I mean, do you think Boeing remains a leading commercial aircraft provider at this point?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, these types of things, unfortunately, happen all the time. So we're talking about one specific airplane. That's the Boeing 737 MAX. And yes, there was a screw loose, so to speak. But the danger here is that it was controlling the rudder system. So, you know, which direction the plane is going to go in. So they understand what the problem is. And hopefully all the airlines now are going to be inspecting for this problem and fixing it and keeping us all safe in the air.
Yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed. A little scary, though. Okay, so the amount of Americans claiming unemployment benefits is on the rise, growing by 12,000 just last week alone. Now this, while unemployment claims have increased since September. Dan, what do you think is fueling this rise right now?
Well, I think that we're seeing a slowdown in the economy, Alex, and certainly the job market is cooling a bit. So this is really to be expected with what the Fed is doing in terms of interest rates. So let's see what happens now when all the signals are that the Fed is going to actually start taking down interest rates. Let's see how that impacts the job market. Yeah. But for right now, it's certainly cooling.
Yeah, definitely. So let's end on one that's not a surprise to anyone. Pizza Hut has decided to lay off over 12,000 delivery drivers in California. Of course, that is ahead of the state's policy to boost minimum wage from $16 an hour to $20 an hour. Other chains, such as McDonald's, have said they would increase prices in the state to offset the increased cost of labor. We know that Big Mac meal is like $16 in California. I mean, Dan, do you see more restaurants around the state following suit?
Absolutely. Listen, across the country, you have 10 million people that are getting raises across 22 states. So you look at that in a silo and say, hey, that's a good thing. People are going to be making more money. Except when you think about who's going to be paying for that raise. Well, it's going to be consumers, you and I. And California, of course, leading the charge with a 30% increase in one shot. So do I think other restaurants and other businesses are going to follow suit? Absolutely. Layoffs, increased prices, inflation. That's what's ahead of this.
All bad, Dan. None of that is good. Dan Geltrude, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you.
All right.